Well, today I'm showing you 3 super simple 3D prints to turn your cordless drill into the ultimate paint shaker. From miniature paints to airbrush bottles, acrylics, and even spray cans, these prints will shake up just about anything on your workbench. And the first one is easily the simplest as well as the quickest to print, coming in at just about 30 minutes for these 2 parts to 3D print. You are gonna need a few supports for them, but it's gonna allow you to basically help shake up and mix any of your different paint bottles. And we just need to take our bearing, which by the way, if you don't have these 608 bearings, there are 3D printable versions that you can try to print and use with this. And then once you've got your bearing installed, it's just a matter of sliding the other piece directly into it. You can then take your drill and lock that in place. Okay. That is pretty awesome. Not the easiest to use with these Citadel paints, but it kind of works. Now, the other thing that I'm wondering is this on mine is fairly loose when it comes to this part sliding into this. So what I think I'm gonna do is try adding a little bit of super glue to the end here, and when it sticks into the bearing, to see if that further impacts or improves the overall mixing capabilities. I think with it fully secure in place, it might work even better now. And this second one took about 3 hours to print using Elegoo's new glass-filled PETG. And this is the very first time that I've 3D printed using this filament, and it worked so good. And I can't quite describe what it is about this glass-filled PETG filament that I love so much, but it has this really fine texture to it that just really makes this feel like it's a really solid print. Also, I didn't have any washers, so I ended up printing some thanks to a file that I found on Nexprint, and yeah, it fits perfectly here with this bolt. And the hardest challenge about this particular print is just getting this through the opening on the inside so that you can bolt it through the other side. Success! I was able to drop it through the hole. Now I should be able to thread the nut on the other side. Real quick before we test this out, I was finding that when I was trying to lock this in place that it was coming loose. So I tightened it down as best I could. And then once this was all tightened in place, I could take my wrench again and further tighten this down. All right, let's give this a test. This might be my new favorite print. You can hear the bearing still rolling around in there. So this should be really doing a really good job of thoroughly mixing up this spray can for me. All right, let's test this out. I literally haven't used this in at least 3 years. Spraying just as good. Honestly, I think this might be one of the most useful things that I have ever 3D printed here. Anybody that uses any kind of spray can, this is 100% you should try and 3D print one of these. This is gonna make my life so much easier. And speaking of making your life easier, today's video is being sponsored by Elegoo, the makers of the Elegoo Centauri Carbon, which I've used to 3D print everything that is shown in today's video. This is not only a fast and affordable Core XY 3D printer, but it also prints incredibly well. And did you know that Elegoo launched their own file website, and they'll actually pay you for your 3D models? Not just points, but actual cash for your 3D models. For every file that you upload as part of their $1 Million Creator Fund, they'll actually pay you $5 per model. That is wild. And the more files that you upload and that are approved, the more you'll earn. You can also earn additional funds by inviting other users to sign up. And for more information about any of Elegoo's products and how you can earn cash for your prints, you'll find links to those down below. Now, I've used a mixture of different parts here, everything from PLA for the handle and the main body, and then I use that glass-filled PETG for any of the components that are gonna be moving, and then I just used standard PETG for the actual bottle holders. And we are gonna need 5 of these 608 bearings, and if you need to, you can also print these. We can start sliding our bearings onto our prints and piece together our axle assembly, and then slide the slider beam onto part here. Then we can take 1/2 of the body, and you'll see it has cutaways for each of the components, and this should hopefully slot into place there, and then we can install this other gear. Then we can place the second half of the body on top of this. Hopefully everything fits together. And then we can use these 3D printed bolts that include with the set to secure everything together. Then we can take our handle and screw that on. Keep in mind, it should be at a slight angle because of how we are gonna have to hold this off to the side. And here's how this looks once it all comes together. We're gonna be able to attach our drill bit on the end here and then attach our different little paint mixers on the ends. This is so cool. And the designers included a whole bunch of different paint bottle holding options, which should be able to handle just about every type of paint bottle that I'm working with, except for our spray cans. First up, let's try the one that I've had the hardest challenge with, which is these smaller Citadel paint bottles. And thankfully the designer has a little attachment specifically for that. Now, what's really cool about this design as well is once you place it inside the little rack there are these little 3D printed bolts that you can slide in to lock everything in place. So much easier installing those from the underside. Now I should be able to just slide the paint bottle in. There we go, like so. You can also put a pin in the back to help ensure that it's not gonna come flying out at you. Oh my God! This is... Oh my God! This requires a little bit more printing, but man, is this worth it. There's another single attachment for these style of bottles that the little lip slides in there. And again, you can lock the bottle in place. This works so well. I do have a tip for everyone that plans on printing one of these. Print extra of these little M8 bolts here, because what you can end up doing is leaving them into the spot that just secures the bottle in place, and it's one less thing that you have to deal with. Also, one limitation with this single bottle holder that the openings slide in from the opening, the front there, is some of the bottle designs will not fit through that opening. So this is a fantasy and games that has this sort of odd top, will not fit into that. But that's why he has different bottle holders. All these have a slight different design. Oh man. And for those of you that don't like the vertical multi-bottle shakers, there is also a design for horizontally placed for 3 different bottles as well. I am gonna reach out to the designer and leave a comment to see if they can also design some slightly longer M8 bolts, because that would be good for some of these shorter, nubbier bottles. All right, let's give this one a go. And this paint shaker so far has pretty much handled all of the different varieties of paints and bottle shapes that I work with. However, I've yet to really find anything that works really well with these cheapo acrylic bottles or my airbrush bottles. And thankfully, this designer, again, has a holder that ever so slightly holds those in place, and I just broke it. Oh no, if you put them in upside down, they'll actually stay in place. Okay, maybe that's not gonna work so well. It works good in the middle, but not on the ends. There's just not enough coverage, I think, to support the bottles. But that was 3 different projects that you can use your 3D printer for to help mix up your paints that you might be working with. I want to say a big thank you to all my Patreon supporters for your continued support in me making videos just like this one here. And let me know which of these 3 projects you think was the best. I'm a little partial to this one right here. It just works so well. But if you do any work with a spray can, 1000% print one of these. It's super simple and well worth printing. Thanks so much for watching, you all, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.